Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of The Engine Room. I'm Luis, you can call me Buga, and today I have with me once again
Mr. Pablo Walls Blanco. Feel free to just call me Pablo.
So today we're gonna be starting right away by talking about the Champions League preview. No hot takes, no anything. We're just gonna get into the matchups because there's a lot to discuss. A lot of it has changed. We believed it was the right move for us to talk about it again, and I received some messages of individuals out there saying that we should actually do it. So why don't just do it? And the way we're gonna be starting with it today is going to be, I have here on my computer a random wheel picker. I just thought instead of doing it in order like the last time, we can just pick anyone at random. So I'm gonna just start Pablo now. I'm gonna click the wheel, and we have to talk about, first of all, Mönchengladbach versus Manchester City. So you want to start off with that one, because certainly City is a lot better than last time.
Yeah, wow. I mean, that is one to start with, isn't it? I think, look, going into that game, there is the clear favourite. It's going to be interesting this year because Guardiola, Manchester City in the Champions League, can they do it? You know, you got to say the way they're playing, why not go for the quadruple? But it seems every time they rock up for the Champions League, big games, they do fail. But look, again against Mönchengladbach, I don't see many problems. I believe the second leg is at the Etihad as well. So say Manchester City draw this game in Germany, I think they can come back and win 3-0 at the Etihad. So I'm expecting a comfortable City win. I think they've got Aguero back in training, back on the bench as well. I'm not sure how far away De Bruyne is, but yeah, I mean, look, without those two massive players, they're already doing so well. Also, Ruben Diaz, he might be back for this one too. So look, they've got so many good options, so many good players, and I think Gladbach will be feeling, oh dear, we're playing Manchester City. Already that was bad, but you know, right now they're playing City at the worst possible time. So I'm expecting, you know, a tough 2 legs for Gladbach. I'm not sure if it'll be a complete walkover from City. Maybe they will go a little more conservative in the Champions League and make sure, you know, they're solid at the back, they don't overcommit, but I'm expecting a professional job to be done by Guardiola's side, and you know, we could definitely see goals. I am expecting a comfortable City win, and I think that is one of maybe a few very one-sided ties.
Yeah, I have to agree. Like in that, I believe that I think City has shored up their defense so much with the signing of Ruben Diaz overall. In fact, I don't know, was Diaz injured out against Tottenham or was he just rested? That's something I haven't seen. I don't know.
I wouldn't know either. I believe he was injured, but I'm not sure. He could have been rested. I think he would have been injured. I think else Pep would have played him.
Yeah, maybe he was like a knock or something, and those knocks are something that can recover. And most importantly, like City's game is not this week first; it's like the second week of the UCL, so it's still like almost 10 days away. So I think he'll be back. And what I like about this City team is that they kind of no longer, they don't have this mentality before where they were with Pep in their Centurion season, where they go to let's say West Ham, and they try to play West Ham out of the park, and they try to win. They get 2 goals, and they go like, you know what, let's get 6. You know, they don't have that attitude anymore. They go like, you know what, 2-0 is fine. Let's just shore up the back. Let's try to get the 3 points. That is a sort of reaction that I see from City right now. And that is a sort of mentality that you need for the Champions League. So I'm not too sure whether it's Pep seeing his squad and perhaps thinking, we don't have Aguero, we don't have De Bruyne, so maybe we shouldn't be all guns blazing. And maybe we should just kind of take it slow, and perhaps it's also a shift that he realized that they need for the Champions League. So I really like this because they're becoming more competitive, or what at least we know in the rule book of what is competitive, like in the Champions League, what every single top team needs. You know, there are not too many sides out there that go and win the Champions League without a proper defense. And City, for the longest of times, that was their Achilles heel. So now they are actually kind of, I think, in a very good place. And on the other hand, we have Mönchengladbach, that is a team that I predicted last time to win because I thought the City team was shaky all over, you know? Pep Guardiola had its worst run in the Premier League. Or of his career, in fact, at the start of the season. And now he's on the best one of his career. So he's done a complete 180 to try and get City back into where they need to be. So I think that honestly now Mönchengladbach has no chance. I kind of predicted that one, thinking just going with my heart a bit, but there's no way in hell that I can go against the arguments that this City team can provide right now. So not only are they probably the favorites to win this game, but the Champions League in the long run, like they have to be up there in the first or second spot. So yeah, City for me are gonna be going out in this one. Germany, I think they can get a 3-1 win, probably something like that.
Yeah. Just quickly before we move on, I do think you're spot on about the new Man City approach this season. That's probably to me why they're so prepared to win the Champions League this season. There's no reason why they can't win it. I honestly feel that. There's no more gung-ho, let's get 6 goals, let's not care about our defence. They are so solid at the back. The amount of clean sheets they're racking up, the opposition have barely any chances, barely any space, and they look so good in attack whilst being really competitive in attack. So I see a really complete City team, but it's all about keeping it going. The Champions League is a crazy competition, and we've already seen, you just said there, Man City 2-3 months ago were looking pretty shaky. People were thinking, yeah, they're going to get top 4. Well, now everyone's thinking how many points they're going to win the league by. So we never know. City have got to keep their levels up, but I do think because of that shored up defence that they've got a great chance of winning this Champions League.
Yeah, and just once again, before moving on to the next one, the one thing is that the gap point that there is at the top of the Premier League right now can just serve City well because they can rest players and whatnot, right?
Yeah, very true.
I think last time where they had that gap, they lost against... Who did they lose against? Last season they lost against Lyon. And then before that they lost against... Who did they lose against? Tottenham, yeah, right. They lost against Tottenham. Okay, but that was like a one in a lifetime type of thing.
That was crazy.
And VAR was kind of like still new. So let's do that. Okay, I'm gonna spin the wheel to see what we have next.
Yep.
And we have we got Atletico Madrid versus Chelsea. So let me start. Okay, because I think before my mentality was that Chelsea with Frank Lampard, they were like, I think Atletico were still favorites. I thought Atletico Madrid were still gonna beat Chelsea.
Yeah.
But because and then I kind of hypothesized that perhaps with Frank Lampard they may be competitive. But now with Tuchel, I think they are competitive. Before it was kind of like I was thinking whether they will be able to match Atletico, but now I'm way more comfortable that they can actually do it, or at least for most of the minutes in this double-legged tie. That is something that I think Tuchel has shifted a lot. And when we talk here, we jumped here for that video talking about Tuchel. We mentioned that. We mentioned how this side was going to be way more drilled. And that is something that I think you're seeing in Chelsea. They play good football, but they're winning kind of 1-0, 2-0, and their defense is looking a lot better. And kind of congratulations to the manager by bringing new names in, or not new names, but names that were kind of lost already, like definitely. Marcos Alonso, and he's doing good there. But then what I wanted to ask, and we were talking about this before we started recording this podcast, and it was that what is happening to some players, for instance, like Hakim Ziyech. He hasn't played for the last 3 games. I know he was injured for the Burnley one, if I'm not wrong, but then Sheffield, and then the last one, he didn't play. He didn't even come off the bench. And that is something that, for me, it's kind of weird. And I'm saying to you because on Twitter I just saw like a report saying that perhaps he may be looking for a way out. And I'm like, nah, no way, too early.
Yeah. It's an interesting one because Tuchel's come in and he's kind of changed the who's playing completely. Players who were favourites under Lampard, so Ben Chilwell, Kurt Zouma, Hakim Ziyech, these sorts of players who Lampard thought, hey, I have to play these guys. Tuchel's come in and he's kind of said, well, I'm not so sure. And look, the situation with Ziyech is interesting because not long ago he was Chelsea's most important and probably best player. It was kind of like, if Chelsea go into a game without Ziyech, what's even the point? Are we going to create anything? Probably not. But now it's got to the point where, I don't know, I think he's a little bit out of form. He definitely had that injury that you mentioned, and I'm not entirely sure if he's fit into Tuchel's system yet, but he's such a quality player, and for a Champions League game as well, he's certainly someone we've got to watch out for. But the interesting thing is, we're probably going to go into that Atletico game, and Ziyech probably won't be a starter, so that's crazy to think about, isn't it? And I think with Tuchel in general, he has done that with a few players. I just briefly mentioned a few there, but there are new faces now. Players like Rudiger, Jorginho, Kovacic, Hudson-Odoi also is one who he's really trusted. So there's a lot of new faces at Chelsea now, and a lot of players who are going to probably be playing in this Atletico Madrid game, who definitely wouldn't have been doing so if Frank Lampard was still the manager.
Yeah, and on the other side of things, like Atletico Madrid, I think they have just remained consistent. Like I've been looking at the record, right, and I have here what I have. And for instance, Atletico, they have in their last 6 games, and I think 6 games is a good measure because like you can still see a reflection of that last 6 game in the team that we see now. I think that's sort of the amount that it takes for a team to actually change gears and stuff like that. So Atletico Madrid has only have only not won in one game of the last 6 ones. So they are constant, but Chelsea is the same. So it really tells you that Tuchel has kind of just got things better running at Chelsea. But I think Atletico, this consistency have just been kind of for ages now. From the last time we spoke, Atletico Madrid are still the same. They're still the same team. They have some short kind of small COVID crises here and there. Joao Felix has got it. Thomas Lemar has got it. Hermoso has got it. And these are 3 fundamental players that, for instance, they need to play for Atletico if they not only want to beat Chelsea, but they want to go far in the UCL. So certainly it is a part that we must assess, because Hermoso is just pivotal trying to get the ball off the back. And this new side from Simeone, we know, is far more attacking than before. So indeed, these players need to come back, I believe, to make Atletico the best. And if they are not ready, let's also remember that this is kind of in a few weeks' time. Well, not a few weeks' time, but next week. Then if they are back by then I think there will be a lot more less chances for Chelsea to progress. But I just mean it's kind of up in the air right now. I would say it's still 55% for Atletico and then 45 for Chelsea. But before, for me, it was like 65 for Atletico and then like less for Chelsea.
You know? Yeah. Going into this game, it's such an interesting one. I still agree with you. I do see Atletico as favourites, if I'm being completely honest. They've got such a great coach, of course. Their system, it's kind of interesting now. They kind of play like a back 3/5, which is an interesting little setup. The goals of Suarez up front, you've got Correa, you've got Llorente there too. Players like Koke and Saul in midfield. The new signing Kondogbia, you mentioned there, Hermoso, Savic, Jimenez, Oblak in goal. Look, we've seen Atletico this season. For me, one of the favourites for the entire competition, by the way. How good they are in defence is just incredible for me. Against Thomas Tuchel's new Chelsea, look, I think Tuchel will have something interesting planned up his sleeve. Again, we will also probably line up with the back 3/back 5, so that'll be interesting to see how those two go up against each other. And I do think that Tuchel will have some, good tactical plans up his sleeve to try and get at what is going to be an incredibly stubborn Atletico side. But look, I still see Atletico as real favourites for this one. They've been one of the best teams in Europe this season, ridiculously consistent and so hard to beat at the back. So look, I have quiet hopes for Chelsea. I do. I think that Chelsea is still a great team, of course. But if we are to be fair, I would say Atletico, by the end of the 2 legs, will go through. But it's going to be an interesting one. It really is. It's probably one of the most interesting ties, actually, that game. It's one I am looking forward to. So let's see what happens. Yeah.
And one thing that we just need to highlight is that this is something that is going to be repeated a lot in these ties, especially ones with English teams, and that's that they're moving to neutral grounds, right?
Yes.
So they're going to be playing Atletico and Chelsea in Bucharest.
Yeah.
So that's going to be I would say an advantage for Chelsea, because Atletico Madrid at the Wanda, they certainly would have wanted that, and if they're not going to get it even with fans, it's still a massive kind of thing, to play in your own ground. It's kind of like the team has to come to your fortress and you have to defend it. You have this sort of mentality in it. Atletico haven't been doing well when they're playing in these neutral kind of places. For instance, in the last UCL where we saw they immediately lost to Leipzig, they were in the same. And I think that may harm them a bit. And the same with Manchester City, because they're not going to be playing is it in Germany? I don't think they're going to be playing in Germany. They're going to be playing in, I'm not sure.
Same for Leipzig, Liverpool.
Exactly. So that is something that we just have to keep in mind. So now I'm going to spin the wheel again, and we're going to find ourselves talking about, oh, look at that. Perfect. Barcelona versus PSG. I swear, this is not fixed. I swear, this is no UCL draw. This is proper. Okay, so Barcelona versus PSG. Can I start?
Yeah, please take it away.
Okay, so Barcelona versus Paris Saint-Germain. I am excited. I'm hyped for this game, because I also was saying to Pablo that I love these instances where my team being Barcelona, has to be challenged. And I just love these situations because it's like you have to have the perfect mentality. You have to have the right run up to the entire game. The whole day kind of just shuts down for me, and I just want to focus on this kind of hour and a half of pure football. And I just think that is what we're going to get in this game at the Camp Nou. There are many injuries for both sides. For Barcelona, especially in the center back position, we are still debating what's going to happen there. Today in the morning, there were reports that Piqué and Araujo trained well. We're recording this on a Sunday morning, just while I'm watching Real Madrid versus Valencia. So if I scream any goal, probably it's going to be Valencia scoring. So yeah, indeed. I feel that Barcelona, no matter the center backs, no matter what happens, I still feel they can give PSG a good match, because before there was always this sentiment surrounding the squad, especially the Barcelona fans, that the tools that Koeman had at his disposal were not good enough, and that Koeman in fact wasn't a good manager either to utilize these tools. But now we do see a fan base that is getting a lot more together, and there's this sense of unity between us and the players, and that is something that is positive for me in the long run, because you do see these smaller kind of less favorable players like Riqui Puig is getting way more minutes. Now there's not too much debate about the entire thing, whether Koeman is actually hating on Puig or Trincao, for instance. I heard today some people call him Troncao, and you know what's Tronco in Tronco in Spanish means you don't move. You're like a log, like literally a log. Yeah. So you're like horrible, and they were calling him Troncao, and I'm like, what? And so that is no more. Trincao has just scored a brace against what? Oh my god, against Alaves, yeah. And dude, I was like, Trincao hat-trick? I was writing Trincao hat-trick on Twitter, and then I was like, ... brace. Because indeed, these players are getting way more protagonism, and it tells you that, for instance, if we need to make something happen against PSG in the last few minutes, we can bring them off the bench. And like I said, the spirit is just insane after that Granada win. But I think, Pablo, you can talk about that spirit, because I've been talking a lot more. What do you think? The comeback power of Barca is insane, really. You just see this unity in the side.
Yeah, I see an impressive Barcelona. I'm not going to lie, I do. I think since 2021, the team's just got together. We've seen the work Koeman's been doing. It's all coming into place now. I think Barcelona have been impressive for a while now. He's improved a lot of the players. He's using a lot of the younger players also. So I think Koeman's doing a good job at Barcelona. And I actually think coming into this game, especially with the Neymar injury for PSG, Barcelona are probably better prepared to win this match. I honestly do think that. I think Barcelona have played the better football. PSG are struggling and they're hobbling a little bit in Ligue 1. I still think they'll win it come the end of the season for a number of reasons. Their players are just so much better than anyone else's. But I honestly think Barcelona have a good chance and probably play the better stuff out of the two teams. However, we spoke about Araujo and Piqué. I'm not sure if they will be back. Even if they are back, what sort of players will they be? Will they be a little bit out of form, out of shape? That will, have to wait and see whether they do play or not. But I think it's at the back for Barcelona where we have to focus. I think Barcelona can play as good of a game as they want. We can dominate it. We can have Messi, Dembele, Pedri, Griezmann, all on good form, all, giving PSG massive issues. We can control the midfield with Busquets and De Jong. But if they've got Mbappé, if they've got quick players up front against players like Clement Lenglet, even Jordi Alba, who isn't so good on the defensive side of the game, the fact is that PSG are going to cause Barcelona issues. That's what I've been saying to myself all week. I'm confident because Barcelona, to me, right now, are the better team than PSG. Pochettino as the manager hasn't really settled in yet, I'll reiterate that. But on a one-off game that we've got here at the Camp Nou, of course it's over two legs, but for the game we've got very quickly on the Tuesday, I see PSG nicely prepared to give a counter-attacking game plan, if you like, to really hurt Barcelona's defence. So we've got to be careful about that. I will say that. I think Barcelona have to be cautious at the back because that is where the problems for this tie will lie. But Barcelona, in good form, in good spirits, good confidence, certainly can give PSG a good game. And I honestly think it'll be a cracker at the Camp Nou.
Yeah, indeed. And something that I mentioned in my preview that is still, yet to come up. This podcast should be uploaded kind of in the Tuesday morning when the Champions League begins in UK time. Mm-hmm. The preview of PSG in the channel is already up, maybe. Yeah, it's already up. Yeah, I just said it. So something that I mentioned in that preview is that PSG has already played this style of football before, and we show that they are not scared in just giving it to the best player that they have, and they're letting them do the creative work. That is something that Barcelona played in a while. When they were with Luis Enrique, they had a good pressure to try and recover the ball quickly, and then they just left Neymar, Suarez, and Messi to do the work. The thing is that this PSG side only has Mbappé to do that. And Mbappé, the thing is that he can still do it, especially if we play the defenders that seems they're going to be playing. If we play Mingueza, if we play a not 100% fit Dest, he's still going to have a pretty good game, especially because he plays in that left flank area. So Barcelona has to beware. I think that PSG are going to score. I don't think that we can keep a clean sheet, I'll be honest. But I do rely on the power that Barcelona has to try and get and to nick something up. Like I said also before in a live stream here as well, is that I see Barcelona in a different light, because the seasons with Valverde, with Quique Setién, we saw a team that kind of, they started good, but then they got increasingly worse throughout the game. But now it's a little bit different, because they can start bad, but they're able to at least, by the end of the 90 minutes, show their full quality. And that is different. That is very, very different from Barcelona's before, because at least you're guaranteed to see some sort of version of Barcelona in this game, in a game now. And that is positive. Against Sevilla, I was scared that we were going to return to the old self, where we are just going to kind of hide in our shell and be like, we're kind of getting better, what do we do? And it didn't happen. Sevilla, I'll be honest, they played us out of the park in that first half. I was like, holy shit, Sevilla is like God tier. What the frick's going on? They're proper football. And then the second half, Barcelona got better. And I was impressed. I was like, we are actually pinning them down. We're actually creating chances. We're actually overlapping. We're actually having Dembélé use their speed and pace and everything. And we saw De Jong coming in. We saw Ricky Puig. We saw Benzema just scored. And stuff like that. Yeah. So indeed, I feel this Barcelona team has improved. And like it or not, Koeman is laying the foundations for something special for the next manager. I don't think Koeman is going to be the one to get himself a kind of a picture of himself framed in the wall of the Camp Nou. I don't think he's going to be that sort of legend. As a player, he was. As a manager, I don't think so. But he will create a very good platform for whoever comes next to take these players to that next level. And it's showing. It's showing that there is potential in this team. And I love it. And I think PSG are going to be surprised of what we can do. I feel that they still see us like, or the general light in the general football, they do see you Barcelona like, oh, they're playing these youngsters, they're not the same. It's like, yeah, but trust me, these youngsters are pretty good. Pedri is fucking insane, and Dembélé is incredible.
Yeah,
Dembélé is such a new revelation, honestly. Like this, we haven't seen this Dembélé ever at Barcelona. We haven't.
Credit to Koeman.
Exactly. He has prepared for what was ahead of him, and I think that's why he didn't take the job when it was Etienne's time, no? Because he was also mentioned that he could take the team in that moment. But indeed, I think Barcelona can go to the Camp Nou and get a proper result. I think PSG may score maybe an early goal, but then Barcelona just go, you know what? Let's fucking do it. We cannot get the same again, and the hunger of these young kids are going to pull us through. So I think Barcelona are going to take this something like, I'm going to say 3-1.
Spin the wheel time.
Bang. We got Lazio, Bayern Munich. Start us with this one.
Okay. A little bit similar to the Man City Gladbach tie. I see Bayern Munich comfortable winners over two legs, definitely. I'm not actually sure if Bayern Munich are so illustrious as they were last season. They're still making great signings. Hansi Flick has won more trophies than he's lost games, so this is still a ridiculous Bayern Munich team. I don't think it's the team that beat Barcelona 8-2, though, if I'm being completely honest. I still think they're going to push over Lazio. I really do. Lazio having a solid season in Serie A, probably won't be winning the league. They'll be challenging for top four for sure, but around those European places. So, look, for Bayern Munich, this shouldn't be any issue, I expect. Perhaps a more narrow win away from home, but when they come back to Munich, I expect them to get a comfortable victory and some goals for Lewandowski and co. And yeah, I'm expecting Hansi Flick's side to get a comfortable victory. There's not really much more we can say on that one. It should be a routine victory for Bayern, and I'm not expecting an upset in this one.
Yeah, the thing that I want to mention about Bayern Munich is that there seems to be this kind of lack of cutting edge so far in their game. It sounds dumb, but it kind of is. In the last games that they've played, the last 6, in 3 of them, they have only managed to win by a margin of 1 goal, which is it's something that you have to mention. They've been missing some players out, and most of the time I've been seeing, for instance, they play Müller or they play just Kimmich, and then they play Gnabry, Koeman, and Sané. So they're very attacking in this sense, and sometimes more players in attack doesn't really relate to a lot more chances or a lot more goals. It's safe to say as well that, for instance, I saw the final against Tigres in the Club World Cup, and Bayern Munich had a lot of chances. Yeah, they did, but Tigres with a good solid defense. So we're talking about Tigres, okay? We're talking about a team that has been the first ever of CONCACAF to reach the final of the Club World Cup. A team that honestly, it's good in the Liga MX, but in these last 2 seasons they kind of had to do a lot more of investing in it to try and get back to the very best. So we're not talking about a team that precisely is good in a worldwide sense, but they're decent, and they managed to create problems to Bayern Munich because they were always 1 goal away, and that's the thing. 1 goal of a margin is not good enough. Any manager in the world will tell you that, and I think that relates a lot then to injuries of Goretzka, for instance. I think Goretzka is being missed a lot by Bayern Munich. They're missing him very, very much because Goretzka is a player that will constantly run in from the midfield into the attack and create those spaces, open it wide up, sort of what De Jong had been doing for Barcelona these last few seasons. You need to rely on players like this. And if Goretzka is not there, maybe it's going to be harder for Bayern to try and beat Lazio in this one. And on the other hand as well, Lazio has been improving a bit. They have won of the last 6 games, 5 of them, drawing only 1 of it in the Coppa Italia. That is good. They're putting a proper good run right now, Lazio, and they're reaching, I would say, their best form of the season so far. So I don't think it may be an upset or anything, but I do believe that, for instance, Lazio can get a draw in this first game, and then in the second one they get blast open by Bayern Munich. But I think it's going to be closer than what we initially anticipated.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. It's kind of similar to the point I made. I just don't know if Bayern Munich are that unbelievable side that they were last season. But I do think that they'll professionally deal with Lazio here and just put them to one side.
Yeah, and you know how we talk about many teams having a blip, right? In Bayern Munich, their blip, the thing that they have, and this is what good teams do, or they should try to aim for, is that when you have a blip, you're still able to win results by shifting up your tactics and being just a more, I would say, conservative side. And that is something that Bayern Munich can do if necessary. So no matter what happens here, I think they're still going to be able to just, like you say, professionally push the team aside and just progress to the next round. That's why they do good. And yeah, it's impressive, honestly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to spin the wheel and let's see what's going to be happening next. We got Sevilla versus Dortmund. So I know at the start, we both of us said that Dortmund were going to take this one, right? But Dortmund has fallen off a cliff. They have fallen off a cliff completely. They're sitting right now at the 6th spot in the Bundesliga, which is really not good. No. They're struggling to score. Well, they're not struggling to score goals, but the defense is just all over the place. Like it really, really is. And Sevilla, on the other hand, my goodness, I don't know if it's just that game, but my impression of Sevilla has drastically improved. Like Sevilla, there are 2 teams, Pablo, that have 6 wins of the last 6 wins and overall have the best runs. And they are Manchester City and Sevilla. Sevilla has the second best kind of winning run, or the best form, if you would like to say, coming into this Champions League time.
Yeah.
And the game is also played in the Sánchez Pizjuán. So I just feel that everything falls nicely for Sevilla here, and I honestly think they can but they can deal professionally with Dortmund over 2 legs. I just feel that their style is very attacking, and this is exactly the sort of style that would hurt a team like Dortmund, because their transitions are so fast. And if you saw that game against Barcelona, Sevilla is a very asymmetrical side where they can shift City to the left, have the Alex Vidal or Jesus Navas, if he's fit, to just ping the ball from the right back position to the left wing position. Then City brings it back, and then they can do the same from the left back to the right winger position. They always constantly move like this, and it's very hard for teams to mark this way. And since Dortmund are a very open team, they rely on these spaces for Sancho, Haaland to kind of exert their game. I think they're going to struggle. I think they're going to find themselves with a very strong Sevilla team. And now finally, Sevilla will get some sort of recognition, because who knows, maybe Sevilla, if they beat, like, it could be a tough game. It could be like a 2-1 result for Sevilla, but likewise, I think Sevilla could also score like 4 past Dortmund, because Dortmund are just way too shaky, in my opinion, right now. And it's probably going to be the best opposition they face since Leipzig, since Bayern, and since those 2. So yeah, I do think Sevilla are going to comfortably win this.
This is a great tie. The wonderful Sevilla, managed by Lopetegui, are just such a good side, and you got to say it's nice to see them get some recognition. I'm expecting them to beat Dortmund. Interestingly enough, when we did the initial preview after the draw was made, Sevilla were on a bit of a slump. They just lost 4-0 to Chelsea. They weren't that impressive in La Liga. And Dortmund were doing fine. They were doing okay in the Bundesliga. At least they were around the top 4. But now everything's changed. I think Sevilla have woken up again. And Sevilla have got into that form that we saw them in the Europa League last season. And they are just such a good such a good side. Also in European ties, they really do turn on the heat. And they can make it so hard for teams to play against them, even with some absences. They were missing their fullbacks against Barcelona, but how solid did they look? So good, such a good system, and also that danger and attack that they always carry. Look, they've got to be careful. Haaland, Sancho, we're talking about some of the world's best players here, who can kill games at any moment, but I see Sevilla so much stronger than Dortmund, so if the football is fair, if the tactics pay off, if the best team wins, you imagine Sevilla will go through this tie. Look, going back to the Signal Iduna Park in the second leg may cause them issues, to be fair. No fans, though, so you'd imagine Sevilla will be fine overall. They're just so good defensively, and they've got such a good system. I just see such a strong side in Sevilla, and so impressively managed by Lopetegui. I'm a really big fan of what they do, and I'm expecting them to get to the quarterfinals of the Champions League here, which was, well, maybe didn't seem that possible not long ago, but, they've been so impressive of late. And you just mentioned their form there. It is so good. So I'm with you on that one. I think Sevilla will go through, and, we are seeing a really great side here.
Yeah, and two things before moving into the next tie. I just wanted to say that for me, Dortmund right now, I don't know who's their kind of president or whoever, but I read a comment, didn't read a comment, hear a comment that someone in a podcast replicated. And they were talking about how now that president or, sporting director, whatever, whoever said it, they were saying that that Dortmund's priority now is to get Champions League football. And that is a massive change and a massive turn of events. Like, I feel the Champions League is really not needed for what they kind of require right now. They need to get that UCL football next season so they can at least guarantee to keep Sancho and Haaland for one more year.
Yeah.
I think they really are gonna not only perhaps they're gonna put their arsenal here, try to get the win, but let me be honest, in the long term of things, I feel they need to get back in the Bundesliga and start grinding out some results because it's not looking good. It really isn't. And the other thing is that I think Sevilla could be this kind of like Ajax of we always say the Ajax. There's always, for the last few seasons, I'll be honest, for the last few seasons, there's always been a team that really shouldn't get there, but it always does. Like, for instance, last season we had Leipzig and Lyon getting to the semi-final, so we had two of them there. We had the season before, we had Tottenham reach the final. Before that, we had Roma?
2 years before we had Tottenham and Ajax.
And Ajax,
who
and
went
then
far.
and then before that we had Roma. Because Roma beat Barca and met Liverpool in the semi-finals. Yeah. And before that, we got Monaco. Monaco. So there's always this team that sneaks there into the semi-finals. And I think that team will be Sevilla. I really do think. I think that if they get I think if they get, I don't know which teams already which teams we predicted to go through.
Yeah.
But for instance, if they get a Juventus, I think they could beat a Juventus.
Yeah.
So something like that could happen and stuff like that. So let's spin the wheel and see what we have next. Maybe we have Juventus. What you know? No, we got Leipzig versus Liverpool. So let's talk about Leipzig versus Liverpool. You want to start with this one?
Yeah, okay. I'll start by saying that Liverpool are in trouble here if they don't up their game against Leipzig, because that Liverpool defence, it looks completely disjointed.
Did you see the game against
Leicester?
The
goalkeeper struggling. Yeah, that game against Leicester yesterday was just a prime example of what Liverpool are doing these days. Complete calamity.
Yeah, exactly. 7 minutes. I went to the bathroom, dude, and I came back and it was 3-1. I'm not joking. I took a shower. I came back and it was 3-1. I'm like, what the I was like, whoa. Yeah, I missed it all. I opened my phone and saw, you know how both teams started with L, right? Leicester and Liverpool. So I just saw 3-1. I'm like, oh, 3-1 Liverpool. And then I went to my TV and, it was for Leicester. And I'm like, dude, this is insane.
Yeah.
Did you see the mistake of Kabak and Alisson?
Yeah, I did. That epitomizes it. That epitomizes what Liverpool are right now.
That's a mistake, that a Karius mistake.
Yeah, for me, that was more Alisson's fault. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, me too. If you're Alisson, you need to shout to your defender, "I'm gonna get it. You're gonna get it."
Yeah.
And honestly, Alisson, didn't need to come out that far out because the
No.
ball was outside the area.
Yeah.
So why would you do that? It makes no sense. It's like the Ter Stegen one against Atletico Madrid a few months back. It's that sort of like sometimes you think you can get there, but you just completely forget entirely. Carvajal's injured. Oh, that's sad. He always gets injured, right? Especially
Who's
in big
this?
moments. Carvajal.
Oh, wow, injured again.
Yeah, he got injured like one day. Well, he got injured like in the final of the Champions League, just before the World Cup.
Yeah.
I remember that. But anyhow, so indeed, I feel that Liverpool just are not up to scratch really, and honestly, they should send Alisson on loan to Besiktas. No, I'm joking. Okay, continue.
I mean, yeah. What I was saying is that Liverpool got to be careful. I still get the feeling that Liverpool will go through over the two legs, but if I was to give percentages, I'd say 55 Liverpool, 45 Leipzig. It's pretty close for me, it really is. Let's see what Nagelsmann's got up his sleeve. They got some interesting players, Leipzig. No Werner anymore, of course, this season, which we always seem to mention, but you do feel he was the goals for them up front. So, let's see what players like Dani Olmo can do to chip in instead. But look, Leipzig have got to feel confident going into this game. I'm still expecting the likes of Salah, Mane, Firmino to really turn up the heat and score some goals on Leipzig. But Leipzig should be confident. They should feel, look, this is a wounded animal in Liverpool. They can hit us back and they can be a really fierce team and Salah can have an amazing performance. But at the same time, those issues are still there in defence. You look at that midfield also, I feel, without Henderson in there, Thiago hasn't settled in very well. The likes of Wijnaldum and Jones, they don't really provide much defensive cover. And that centre-back partnership, the full-backs as well, Alisson in goal. Leipzig should go for Liverpool. Leipzig should say, we can beat this Liverpool team, because honestly, they really can. So I think that's going to be an interesting tie, and I'm sure all football fans will have their eyes peeled for that one to see, look, are Liverpool going to mess up again? Are Leipzig going to cause an upset here? Because they're certainly the sort of side who can do that. So that's a really interesting tie, and Klopp has got to get his side together to really buckle them down for that one. And Leipzig should have that quiet confidence.
Yeah, but I have to disagree with you. I think Leipzig are going to go through.
Really?
I really do say. I think it's not a wounded animal. I think it's like a deer that is bleeding to death. You know what? It's wounded, but it's like bleeding. Okay? It's like when you shoot a deer and then the deer walks a few more meters and then it just collapses.
Okay,
I think it's that sort of Liverpool. Not that it cannot get better, of course. Like I think Van Dijk will eventually come in and hopefully take it, but I don't feel they'll be able to get past this Leipzig side without that, because the thing about Klopp, and here I'm going to do a little bit of criticism on Klopp, and I get it. People don't like to criticize him. I think it's a problem of FSG as well. But he just hasn't administrated well the tools that he had at his disposal. Like the time to bring these center backs in, these new ones, was against Brighton, and he didn't do it. And then we have these big games against Leicester, Manchester City, now in the Champions League. And this was your opportunity to try and integrate him in the squad has already passed. It really has already passed. Because right now against Leipzig, like I said, they have a almost complete squad. All of their players are doubts, so they had knocks. They are not precisely injured per se. They could make an appearance like Forsberg, like Leiner. So yeah, I feel they have a better squad right now than Liverpool. And the thing is that scoring-wise, Liverpool have just been weak. Like it's Salah scoring the goals, and then it's about it. Like Firmino scored the other time, I don't know against who, but I remember Firmino scored. But
Tottenham.
But it's just. Yeah, and it's just like they are flat. They really are, because the creation of Liverpool's side comes from the center backs. Van Dijk kind of steps into that CDM role sometimes and just delivers the ball from there, these long balls into Mane, into Salah. Then it allows it to gain ground through the fullbacks. You don't have that delivery anymore. That is why I think he's constantly playing Henderson and Fabinho there, because Klopp must believe that especially Henderson has that ability to ping the ball out, because against Leicester, once again, it was Henderson playing the center back position. I know Fabinho had a knock or anything, but you could have tried something else and he didn't, So I feel that he's struggling a bit to try and shift the system out. And maybe sometimes when you have and get these injuries, you should change to try and adapt to the people that you have. And Klopp is not doing that. Klopp is kind of like, has the system and just do what is best for the system, instead of precisely trying to fix something to shore up and make it more competitive. That is the thing that I see with Liverpool. And also I don't get, and I'm just kind of revealing myself, I don't get the excuses of injuries. Like, dude, if you got Van Dijk injured, you should have shored up a defender earlier. Like there's no way you cannot do that. You're the champions of or you were, but you know what I mean. You are up there. You were the champions of England. You were the best team in the world. You need to be able to shore up your defense and be able to have the numbers there to make a proper squad. You cannot start a season believing that 3 center backs is enough. Like that happened to Barca already. That happened to us, and we dealt with it. And that is what I mean. You have to deal with it, and you needed to do something. And I think Liverpool, honestly, those injuries are costing them so much. Not only because of the results, because of the way that they play and their mentality as well. I think, the title mentality monsters that they had, I think they're not anymore. But I think they're struggling a bit. And I think Klopp is struggling as well with the idea that they've already won the they already won the Champions League, they already win the Premier League. So normally when stuff like this happens, the manager needs to rejuvenate their squad, get new names in, sell a Salah, sell a Mane, get a new player in, and Klopp hasn't do that. It's the same problem that has happened to Real Madrid before. I've seen it firsthand. It happens, and you need to change things. As soon as you're able to change things, then you're getting better. This is what precisely Real Madrid did. They changed what they had up top. They sold Ronaldo. They got rid of Bale. They got Asensio and Hazard. They're not the best, but still, you need to be able to make a fresh team. And Klopp isn't doing this right now, and I think that is going to cost them in this game. And people are going to still be saying Liverpool, one of the best teams we've seen in the Premier League. Yeah, sure. But you had the opportunity to cement something, to become a dynasty, to reach the upper echelon of football club and stay there. Like a Bayern Munich, like a Barcelona, like a Real Madrid, like a Juventus, like a Man City. Man City, for me, has more grounds. Like if we are talking about a tree, the roots of Manchester City grow deeper into the ground of the European elite. Liverpool, I don't think that much. So that is one thing where I believe Liverpool, there's no excuses. Like you were better last season, then what do you do? Be better next time. And that is where I think they got it wrong. And I think Leipzig are going to win. There is a neutral ground. I think it's going to be good for both of them. But I believe Nagelsmann is going to take this. And once again, prove that Leipzig are a proper team. So many people say, I was still listening to Steve McManaman. I don't know. Yeah. You say it. Steve what?
Steve McManaman.
Exactly that, dude. And he was saying that, at this stage of the season, the good teams show up. You know what? There's no chance for Leipzig. And I'm like, yeah, the good teams show up. Leipzig show up. So I think Leipzig will take this. I honestly think I don't feel confident, but I think it's kind of like 50-50 where we're talking PSG Barca, but I feel there's more in Leipzig's ball court than in Liverpool.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't know. I suppose you're right. If Liverpool play like they've been playing, Leipzig will go through, but I can just see Liverpool pulling something out of the hat and, turning it around, especially at Anfield second leg. You mentioned the neutral ground there, which I keep forgetting. That could hurt Leipzig a little bit as well, but yeah, it's going to be close. It's going to be close, honestly. And, if Leipzig go through, that's damning for Liverpool. That's really, really bad.
Yeah, we should do a podcast after the games and just see and compare what we thought happened.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be Team Leipzig in this one. You're going to be Team Liverpool. Okay, I'm spinning the wheel. And we got Porto, Juventus, so we know which game we're going to be talking at the end. And let's just make it this quick one because I think Porto they're worse than what we talked last time. It's the first team that they've gotten worse. They've drawn in the last 6 games, 4 of them games. They don't have the cutting edge like they potentially did before. They are 7 points before in the Liga NOS, behind Sporting de Lisboa, and with 1 game less. So that's good on Sporting, so good on them. And even without Rafinha and Bruno Fernandes, so incredible. But yeah, I think Porto are not a good team. Juventus has sort of kind of found their feet somewhat. Just when I think they were turning a point, they drew against Inter in the Copa. They already won that 3-1, so they kind of could do that. But then they lost against. Did they lose against Napoli?
Yeah, they lost
against Napoli 1-0.
Yeah, they did.
So indeed, yeah, like Juventus, I think are a very interesting team. They remind me a lot of Barcelona. I think if you find like a team that is probably the same, I think Juventus is catfishing. I think they're catfishing Barcelona. Like they're the same thing. It's the same problem. Like an old player, Ronaldo, Messi. You have these young breed of players coming in. We even shared center midfielders in Arturo and Pjanic. So like literally we're literally the same thing. And they have also many injuries. The Ligt is coming back now, so he's good. Cuadrado is also coming back now. I was reading that Cuadrado is the most creative player in the Serie A so far, so that's incredible. So indeed, I think Juventus are just gonna be able to beat Porto in this one. I don't feel there's much chances for the Portuguese team here. What do you think?
You know what, Luis? I don't like this Juventus side. I just don't think they're that good. I've watched them on a few occasions now. I actually think their best game was at the Camp Nou, by the way, the 3-0.
Yeah.
Other than that, when I've watched Juventus, I don't like that. I don't like the football they play. They kind of play this 4-4-2 shape with like 4 central midfielders across the midfield and then a winger and Ronaldo up front. And I don't know, it's not expansive. It's quite stubborn. Yeah. It's quite painful to watch almost. I watched
They play the same formation as Atletico Madrid, but Atletico Madrid attack better than them.
Yeah,
it just tells you how the tides have shifted.
I think Juventus have got lucky that they've drawn Porto, because I think you're right. If they play even someone like a Sevilla and anyone else in the next round, you'd imagine they'd go out. I don't like the look of Pirlo's Juventus so far. It's early days, but I just don't like that stubborn football they play. It's not fun to watch at all. It's pretty defensive almost, and you kind of wouldn't expect that from Pirlo, but the 4-4-2 shape, the lack of attackers, the quite stubborn football, I don't know. I haven't been a fan of Juventus this season, and look, that's being proven in the Serie A. Are they even going to win it? We've got to see. So that'll be a bit of a disaster. You've got to take a Pirlo in his first season to gear up the Scudetto, so watch out for that one. But the shame here is that Juventus won't be put to the test, really, because they will probably quite comfortably brush aside Porto, maybe 2-0, then 2-1 in the second leg, something where Ronaldo will be able to get 3 or 4 goals over the 2 legs, and I imagine he'll be able to get a number of goals over this Porto side. And it's a shame, because I do think Juventus against a good side could be properly tested here, but luckily for them, they probably are going to get a free ticket into the quarterfinals. Yeah,
I agree with you on everything there. So shall we just move onwards into this last leg, and that is Atalanta versus Real Madrid.
Ooh.
And Real Madrid are currently beating Valencia.
I'm
just going to say that. I think Real Madrid are... The reason why I wanted to watch this game is because I wanted to see how their shape is changing. Because I don't know about you, but did you see the Real Madrid game against Getafe? Do you know what I'm talking about? Or no?
Which one? How did it end? 2-0?
The 2-0, yeah. Because
and they played like a back 5 with Marcelo left wing back.
Exactly. I think if Real Madrid are able to... Like, Marcelo was proper in the game. He looked like the old Marcelo because he just doesn't have to defend. I mean, last time he didn't have to defend either, but now he actually has Mendy that can cover up for him. So it makes sense to play something like that. And if Zidane... Why did Zidane try that? That is my question. Why did he do that? He had no reason to try that. Last game against Huesca, they played the normal 4-3-3. Now against Valencia, they are playing once again 4-3-3. So why did Zidane try that? That is my question. Why did he try that? I think that maybe he was anticipating something in the Champions League. Maybe not precisely this game against Atalanta, but maybe later on. And I believe that if they want to go far, they have to continue doing with that, because I think they played very good in that system. And overall, though, even I'm praising Real Madrid here. If you take a look at their record, it's actually not that impressive. They've won the last 2 games, then they lost, they won, and then they lost twice again. And one of them was against Alcoyano, remember? So this side in Real Madrid are iffy. They just go up and down. I can't tell you what is going to be the best player. Of course, it's going to be Benzema, but apart from that, no one really turns up as much now. It's more of a collective unit, but not precisely because of an immense game. It's just because they're just beat per quality. And that is sort of what Real Madrid has done for the longest of time. They just win UCL games. They win La Liga games because of the quality that they have in their players.
Exactly.
That is their strategy, and it works. But maybe Atalanta are capable of getting something here. What do you think?
This is an interesting one, because I think this Real Madrid team this season, the word I've used all season is that they're stale. To me, they've got the same players, the same lineups, the same system, other than that game against Getafe, the 4-3-3, the get it wide, the cross it to Benzema, the hope for a Casemiro Ramos scrappy goal from a corner. I just don't see an impressive side, not tactically. They don't spark the games to life. Their games are a little bit dull, in my opinion. It's always quite slow football. Then right, yeah, let's force it out wide to Lucas, let's swing it onto Benzema's head. How was Benzema's goal against Valencia, by the way? Was it a cross again, or?
No, I was like outside, almost. I'll say in the line of the area, and then he just did like a low shot. It was a good goal because he went through all the defenders and just kind of curled in the bottom right corner. Okay. So but it was one of those low shots, just power low, always in al ras del piso, how you say in Spanish, where it doesn't leave the. It's always on the ground. It doesn't leave.
I was just hoping it was a cross because every time I watch Real Madrid, they get it wide and they cross it to Benzema.
Yeah,
and I see them so one-dimensional in that way. I haven't been overly impressed by Real Madrid again this season, but you know what? We know Real Madrid. We know Zidane in the Champions League against an inexperienced Atalanta. For me, an impressive Atalanta. I believe they've got themselves to the Coppa Italia final, which they'll be facing Juventus in. Of course, Juventus beat Inter in the semis. Atalanta beat, I believe, was it Napoli or Atalanta beat Lazio maybe? Someone in the semis.
Napoli.
Napoli, okay, yeah. So
3-1.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, I see an impressive Atalanta side and an Atalanta side who, against Real Madrid without Ramos in the first leg, they can definitely cause them issues. That's absolutely for sure. But I do feel Real Madrid, they're at home in the second leg because they topped their group. And their relentlessness in the Champions League in big games, they've got big players, Casemiro, Kroos, Modric. I do think it's maybe a different side. Real could have gone out, but Atalanta will cause them issues. They're an attacking side, and let's see what they can do. I'm quietly intrigued for that game. I do think Real Madrid will go through, annoyingly, but you know what, Atalanta, they can definitely cause them issues.
I'm actually gonna once again disagree with you on this one. I'm gonna go for the underdog. I think Atalanta can get a result.
Wow.
No, well, Real Madrid just scored again. As I say that.
Who was it?
Real Madrid scored. Okay, see that. I'm gonna beat Team Atalanta for now. Let me see the goal, but that is hilarious. That was perfect timing. Toni Kroos with a goal.
That's vintage Zidane.
That is, I literally just said it. As I'm gonna go with the underdog, Real Madrid scored.
This is what I mean. This is what I mean. Real Madrid, you think they're doing badly, you think they're all wounded, bang, cross, goal.
Okay, let me see. Lucas Vázquez onto Asensio on the right hand side. Asensio looks for Toni Kroos. No, Modric, and then Modric cross. No? Lucas Vázquez back. Oh, okay, it was another low shot. Yeah. Come on, Dominic.
Can I just say though they are against an awful Valencia side.
Yeah, I know, but like my goodness, Dominic, come on, bro, he slipped. The keeper slipped.
Dominic has had so many blunders. I don't know if you've seen. Every time I watch Valencia highlights, Dominic makes an error.
Yeah, where is Silicen?
Literally. Is he still there?
Yeah.
I don't know what they are playing at then.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. But anyhow, so I still am gonna go with the underdogs. Don't score again, Real Madrid. But why? Because from these last records that we've seen from Atalanta, for instance, I'm gonna read it to you again. So we have Atalanta. They won the last game. They drew 2. They lost and they won 1. The thing about this is that they, in two-legged ties that we've seen the Copa and the games that they've had, they are able to put out results. Impressive results. So 3-1 against Napoli, 3-0 against Milan. They can almost put a perfect game. In every 2 games, they're putting 1 good game, 1 bad game. If Atalanta is able, or Real Madrid are not on their day, and they can, for instance, stop them at Bergamo, and then they go to Madrid, and that's where they can actually put a good game, or perhaps it's the other way around. I think that's where Atalanta could potentially get an overall win, and the departure of Papu Gomez hasn't been that impactful as I initially would have thought.
Yeah.
Zapata is freaking incredible.
Yeah.
Ilicic is playing like he's 19. And then we have Luis Muriel coming off the bench. Roman, I don't know, his last name is freaking Ukrainish. It's so long. Malinovsky is also playing.
Miranchuk.
No. Miranchuk is the Russian one. Between really? Roman Malinovsky. I don't know if you know.
Okay, yeah, I know him. Yeah.
Yeah, Malinovsky is also playing good. Miranchuk is playing good. They have the names to put something together, and that is what I think. I just feel that as a unit, they're a better team than Real Madrid, and ultimately, I'm always going to go for a unit rather than individual quality. So I'm going to go with Atalanta. I think that they can lose perhaps 2-0 or 1-0, hopefully at Bergamo, and then they just can get a better result in the second one. That is what I think. I'm gonna go with Atalanta and I'm gonna stick with it. These are the one. There's always one time where you go like, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna vote for this team or whatever. I think it's gonna be Atalanta. Like Leipzig, I'm sure. I'm sure Leipzig can beat Liverpool.
Wow,
like
really,
I think Leipzig can beat Liverpool. But Atalanta, I think is more of Atalanta hopefully beat Real Madrid, please. And this is not because I hate Real Madrid. I just feel that Real Madrid are kind of bland, like you said. They're kind of like Juventus. Like I said, I think Juventus are just there. Real Madrid are there. I think
I agree.
they're not going to win the Champions League. I don't think they're going to win La Liga. The same with Juventus.
No.
I think they're just a proper 5 out of 10. Like, good, decent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so with that, then shall we go over quickly who do we vote? So, first of all, Leipzig versus Liverpool. You have Liverpool, I have Leipzig, right?
Yeah.
Barcelona, PSG, Barca, both of us. Are we saying this game or in the long?
No. Let's say who's going through overall.
Okay. So Leipzig, Liverpool. I'm gonna say Leipzig.
Yeah, I'm going Liverpool. Yeah.
Barca, PSG. I'm gonna say Barca. I have faith.
I do have faith. My heart says Barca, my head says PSG.
Okay, that's kind of like a pussy answer, but I'll take it.
No, you know what? I'll go Barca then. I'll go Barca.
Okay, you don't want to be shamed. Sevilla, Dortmund. I'm gonna go Sevilla.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Sevilla.
Porto, Juventus. Atletico Madrid, Chelsea. Ooh.
Oh my god. What are you going for?
Atletico.
Okay, yeah, I'll go Atletico then.
Then Lazio, Bayern. And then the last two are Atalanta, Real Madrid. I also said Bayern last one. I forgot about that. Bayern, yeah.
Bayern, yeah.
And then Mönchengladbach, Atalanta, Real Madrid.
I'm going Real Madrid. I'm going Real Madrid and Man City for those two.
Okay, and then I don't know what happened there. My brain just turned off. I'm gonna go Atalanta and Manchester City up on that one. So indeed, that's like I think there's a good teams. I would love to see Sevilla versus Bayern. I don't know why. I think that's one of those games. I would love to see Atletico Madrid versus Manchester City in the next round, stuff like that. You know, but yeah, overall, that is it, guys. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Engine Room. We're working very hard to release this properly very, very soon. And yeah, just keep tab with both of us on social media to know how the production of this is going. And indeed, thank you for joining us, Pablo. And have a nice day, everyone.
Absolute pleasure. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Take care.